Welcome to the second episode of the Wingspan podcast, the student-led podcast where we interview students about their daily lives through their high school careers. First, we're going to be interviewing some soccer players about their past season. First up is Nika Pittenger, then Kyle Scannell, and Austin Menti. Hello and welcome back to the Wingspan podcast. Today we have Ryan Cupperth, Nika Pittenger, and myself, Jagger Sikowski, to talk to you.
I love how quiet that bass is.
This bass noise is the boys' basketball team, or whoever they are, trying to be cool and play music while they're practicing.
No, Mr. Raymond's trying to be cool.
Mr. Raymond's trying to
play
be cool.
Music
be hip with the kids these days.
Hey, don't get it twisted. The bass, he's not, no rock and roll, no rap, none of that. Straight worship music.
Well, to us, it's just noise.
Yeah. We've done everything we can to try to silence
It's not
this
even
bass.
noise, you're just feeling the vibrations. We closed all the doors that we could and it's still there. It won't last forever. It might. It's Mr. Raymond. He might leave the speaker out there
Pretty
once
sure
they're
you
done.
changed to a different song because you can't hear it that much anymore. But you can still hear some of it.
Okay, well, let's start off with this. You guys played soccer, and you guys made it to state. What was the feeling when you guys realized that you were going to the state level?
Oh my goodness. Well, we only have 11 girls. And like, if you know soccer, you need to have 11 players to have a full team. So no subs. When there's injuries, nobody to take that, fill in for you, which is really an issue because there was one game where myself and another one of our senior team captains, Ellie, got a concussion in the same game in the first half. So that really put us in a little bit of a tricky situation. But the girls pushed through and they got the job done, and we made it to regionals with that. And that game, if we won, we were guaranteed 2 more, but if we lost, we were just going to be done. And the season was going to be over. And so we were playing against Friday Harbor, but we couldn't go up to Friday Harbor because they're on the islands and they didn't have the right kind of field for this official of a game. To drive all the way up north to, is that one in Anacortes? I think that one was in Anacortes. But yeah, so long day, long drive, left school at 10 a.m. for our soccer game. Play the first half, 0-0. Play the second half, 0-0. So now we go into overtime. 5 minutes, first person to score, takes it. They win the game. Other team goes home and tries not to cry too much on the bus. But 0-0 on that one too. So we go to another overtime. Guess what?
0-0.
0-0.
Yep.
So instead, switch it up a little bit. Do a shootout. All fun and games. There's a lot of wind. So our first 2 shots get blown over. And they make their first, second, and third shots. And then we came up and we made our third and our fourth. And then it was just me. And we were tied. It was 2-2. And if I miss, then we keep on going. If I make it, then we're done. And we put the ball in the back of the net. It was super cool. All the girls started running on the field. We're jumping. Some of them start crying. Lots of screaming. Lots of screaming from the stands, too. But yeah, just a really cool feeling to, be there. Just earn your spot in that state tournament. We've been looking for that for a couple of years now. When I say a couple, I think it's been 13 since our soccer team has even made it to the state bracket. It's been a while.
It proves how good you guys have been compared to prior years.
It's just a different team. And we only had 1 new player this year. Jocelyn was the only one that joined. So she played goalie for us. But we lost, 4 or 5 seniors last year?
Dang.
But the team already knew each other coming in. It was just the issue of brand new coach. Figure out that all out.
Yeah.
I think we did okay. Could have been worse.
So, what would you say was the best play during that game?
During the state game?
Yeah.
The state game was definitely difficult. That team, that was Freeman, and they went on to win the whole state tournament. They placed first, and they had a solid team. They had fast girls, they had good technical skills and all, and just they knew the game, and they had the subs and just the speed in general to run it. So it was not our best game.
Yeah, that sounds brutal.
No, not our best game. But I think the girls really realized that we can't go out and end our season. For some of us, it was our high school soccer careers. For some of us, it might be our entire soccer careers in a game where we're turning against each other. That just wasn't an option. You can't end on that note.
Yeah, you gotta go out together.
But there were a lot of close calls. There were a lot of good plays from our girls, myself, and others, especially with corner kicks. Lots of really close calls there. But could have been a lot worse, all things considered. No injuries, which is more important than anything else. And I think it was a decent final experience because it was a blowout on their part. I think it ended up being, was it 12-0?
Yeah, I got told that the day you guys came back.
Yep.
During yearbook.
But at that point, you just had to enjoy the game. And you have to enjoy the time that you have left on the field.
You guys said you had 11 girls on your team.
Sure did.
One goalie, though. So,
Yep.
So how many in the field? That's 10 in the field?
Yep.
Would you say that Jocelyn was performing, well, I don't want to compare to Hope, but like at the same level as Hope was previously? Because I don't know Hope personally, but I've known her for years and she's decently athletic. So would you say she was a goalie at the same level because she is newer?
They definitely had different styles as goalies, if that makes any sense. Hope was a lot more likely to charge people and the ball.
Yep.
But part of that's just who Hope is as a person, and we love her for it. It's fantastic. But Jocelyn came in, and she was a lot more hesitant. But she made a lot of improvements this season, and it was a solid goalie by the end there. Just some shots are really tough to get to in time.
Yeah, especially the top corners.
Top corners,
Especially
bottom corners are worse. I mean, that game, so much wind, so much rain. Somebody said it was like 42 degrees that day, but with the wind alone,
The wind
it felt
chill
like
would bring
32.
that down, yeah.
And it was raining the entire time, so you're soaking
The
wet.
whole time? Oh.
It started out a lot heavier rain, and it kind of lightened up, but you were never dry. So cold and wet, which makes it even more cold.
Yeah.
I think there were about 5 pairs of gloves getting passed around the field amongst our girls. Just trying to keep warm.
I know last year several people had hand warmers out during the games.
Oh, yeah.
I believe it.
I also remember getting thrown hand warmers during the middle of soccer games.
I think next year they got to invest. There's it's almost like a fanny pack for football players. So it's just a hand warmer. I think we should get some of those for the soccer teams. Be a good thing. Bonus points if there's like a rain jacket material on the outside. This is Washington after all. Let's be realistic.
Exactly.
Miss Stan is the new coach this year. How is she as a coach towards you and the whole team?
Yeah. I think she came in and did a really good job. Like, she came in with a tough job to do. I don't know how connected you were with Miss Smear, but our team was really attached. And so coming into this new year, it was like, okay, so senior year, last chance, brand new teacher, brand new coach. Let's just hope it all goes well. And then it went so well, and she did a great job of adjusting, because even just drills in practice are practically impossible to run with just 11 players because you don't have the numbers to keep the lines moving.
Exactly.
We didn't have the numbers to scrimmage ourselves, so there were a bunch of days we had to scrimmage the guys.
I'm not 100% in tune all the soccer rules, but how many people do you need to have like a full soccer team?
So 11 is the most that you can have on the field at a time. The positions that each coach will play are going to vary just based on who their team is and who they are as a coach. But I think the least you can play with at one time is 7. And there was one game we played with 7, but that was because the other team only had 7. So we were playing Muckleshoot, and they only had 7 girls ready to go. It was going to be their last game of the season, win or lose. We had 8 girls that could play. I was still out with a concussion. Ellie was still out with a concussion. And Emily was in New York for a wedding. So we played with a sub. Our only game, playing with a sub. Because we had 7 girls on the field.
Wow.
Yeah.
Must have finally felt good for once.
I didn't have to run.
Yeah, what was the best game of the season you would say?
Ooh. See, a lot of people, their go-to is just the first time we played Crosspoint. Last year, Crosspoint went out and they won state. This year, they placed 3rd, I think it was.
Because didn't they lose a lot of their seniors from
A couple, but they had a solid program. Their coach knows what he's doing, and he knows how to be difficult, which is part of the game. You don't want to make it easy for the other team. But that first half or so, we still only had 11 girls. I think they had about 20-ish, somewhere around there, and we stuck with them. It was 3-3 up to the half and a bit after, and then something happened. I don't know if we were running out of steam or if they changed their tactics a little bit, but they ended up pulling away. That was a fun game for sure.
Definitely the fun ones are where you work harder. You work hard, you get to see the result, you have a lot of fun there.
The fun ones, well, I'm a defender. I was a center defender. I would always say the fun ones are the ones where they have fast offensive players, but not quite faster than me, because then it means lots of just chasing them down.
Yeah, like fast enough to where you're able to catch up, not fast enough to where you're getting outsped constantly.
No.
I tried out for soccer this year. I didn't make it.
I don't mean in high school, just ever.
No.
Yeah, I've played soccer for, I don't know, for your 3rd grade till freshman year. So, 8 years?
Okay.
On and off. During school year and out of school year. A few years, so.
Yeah. It's always fun. See, I would say part of the fun of this season wasn't even just the games. She came in and she's fresh out of college. So, like, she wants to make connections with the kids.
She has to do teacher energy.
But she's young enough that she can have more fun connections than
She
you would
knows
expect
knows
from some of the other teachers. So, like, we had one day, we ended practice early. She had bought ice cream, we had all bought toppings, and we just, like, had a sundae bar in her classroom because we ended class. Like, we ended practice early, and we just had a little bit of, like, a team bonding moment. And that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that feels like last year when Mr. Henning brought my 4 sons for the entire boys soccer team. Just laid it on one of the cafeteria tables and let everybody go at it. And it was gone within, like, I think the first 15 minutes.
That sounds exactly right. He likes to be really generous with all of his food.
Yeah.
But then there's another day, I think it was after the Tells soccer tournament, that we didn't really have time for practice. And so we came back and we had food in her room. She had made this, like, pulled chicken sandwich filling.
Sounds
and
good.
people had brought soda and chips, and she had, like, found air mattresses or brought them from her house. And we were watching Hotel Transylvania and eating food and hanging out with our team.
Sounds exactly like our
pretty fun,
biology
too.
class, except for without the food, without the air mattresses.
No food allowed in the science rooms.
Yeah. I thought we're going to her room for our Christmas party.
You guys got a Christmas party for biology?
Yeah.
Man.
I just made some snowflakes.
We're the one class she has every single class in.
So, yeah. She has every single sophomore in biology this year.
Okay.
So she was talking to us during Spirit Week, and she's like, I'm secretly hoping that you guys win this stuff because you're the only class where I know absolutely everybody.
Man, she's a traitor.
Not a traitor, it's just she knows us better.
Does she? Does she really?
How many classes do you have in Mrs. Statusek?
Oh, all I have her for is strength training. But,
I have 2 classes with her.
there's a certain level of trust that she has in me compared to some other people. Just in school in general and in that class.
I would compare her energy to Mr. Bleasdale from last year. Because Mr. Bleasdale last year was... He was actually making connections with people, and he was probably... I don't want to say the favorite teacher, but he was up there, pretty high on a lot of people's lists.
Huh. I don't know that the chemistry kids would agree. I was hearing lots of complaints from my fellow classmates.
In freshman science, he brought out Pokemon cards and basically talked about those for half a class.
Is freshman science just like riding a bike as well?
Pretty much. Looking back on it, it doesn't seem that hard, but when it was going on, it felt really hard.
My goodness. You never had Bleasdale.
I never had Bleasdale.
You were gone last
I'm
year.
over here sitting here and I was like, who's Mr. Bleasdale? He was the chemistry teacher last year?
He was he was one of those teachers that comes to learn and like substitute for a while.
Oh, student teacher.
So he's a student teacher. He was in the military first.
Yeah.
So he's not like low 20s.
But he wasn't one of those like strict military guys. He was like one of those like people that you see and they're like, the military has changed them for the better because it taught them to appreciate a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And he filled in while Mr. Enstead was out on paternity leave.
Gosh, he seems like a neat guy.
He was.
I want to wrap it back to Ms. Stannis. Like, what would you say is one of her biggest strengths?
One
as
of
a
her
coach?
biggest strengths. I think she understands players on more than just a physical ability level. Like, it's not just, oh, you're the fastest, so I'll put you here, or you're strong, so you can play this position.
It's like you're the most confident with your abilities, or like, I know you personally and I know how you think.
It doesn't even have to be knowing super personally. She just understands who is suited for each position. And some positions do take more confidence, some take more determination. But she did a really good job of playing to that and letting us work together as a team. Some people moved around a little bit. But, yeah, I'd say she did a great job. And she has eternal bragging rights now. First year teacher, first year coach, made it to state. What more can you ask for?
Well, thank you, Miss Nika, for coming in to the Wingspan podcast. Hopefully we'll have you here again to talk about something more wondrous than soccer.
Probably
Maybe
not.
about
More wondrous.
maybe the basketball team gets to state too. You'll be.
Yep.
Oh,
Few more months.
Well, thank you, ma'am, and you have a good night.
thank you.
All right, now we're here with Kyle Scannell and Austin Menti, two individuals from the boys soccer team who also made it to state. Well, gentlemen, first I want to start off with just a very general question. How did you guys feel when you guys made it to state level? Let's start with you, Kyle.
It felt pretty good. I mean, we made it to the state the past, 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years.
2 years?
I'd say 3.
With
years.
Austin as a goalie, I think you could pretty easily make it.
I don't know. I thought if we had, Austin would talk about it, wake-up calls that we had, I thought we would have made it further. But we ended up not, because we just had some bad plays, and we had plays that we didn't make, so.
Yeah, I mean, it was my goal. It's me and Kyle's senior season, so we were just wanting to, make it our last run, no matter what it was. My whole outcome was just, make it to state, make it in general. We have the team to definitely do it, but you just got to get over the small humps before tackling the big things. So that was the primary goal, and we achieved the primary goal in making the state.
We've had Mr. Henning as a coach, who has been the coach for how long? A few years?
5 years?
Oh,
Yeah, 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
How is he as a coach?
He's all right.
Oh.
I liked him as a coach. It was kind of the same thing, but I wouldn't say he's a bad coach. I mean, he did what he needed to. He got us talk through each play. We got a couple more drills every time. He made it state 3 years, so show something for it.
Yeah. Yeah, no. For me, it was really funny. Just out of nowhere, you're just like, all right, I'm coming to Evergreen. All right, who's my soccer coach? And you're like, a restaurant owner. I was waiting for a guy, come in like a huge puffy vest, have some British accent, and be like, we're going to play football, guys. Great football. Nope, we're just going to be talking about restaurant, barbecue, soccer. By the way, come out for track too. But no, it was fun. He loves us guys. You wouldn't think he's a soccer coach.
No.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
you come to love the guy after like the third practice. You're just like, I like this guy. He understands everybody. He's got this. It's like a serious but funny side to him as well. So
He grows on you very much.
yeah, he grows on you. It's actually really awesome that he's one of my favorite coaches for that reason. He just grows on you. So
Easy to be with and like talk to.
yeah, absolutely.
Totally not the fact that he gives you guys my four sons sometimes.
Oh shit.
It's totally not that fact.
Never.
Let's talk about that for a second. My four sons. How is that for you guys? Is it good food?
Before a game, no, probably not. But we won almost every game that we ate the food before.
Yeah. The food definitely was good. What was our last game? We had mac and me, which is which we were like, okay. I was telling myself, I was like, all right, we gotta time how we eat this. To be honest, I was like, we're going through what is it, I-5 all the way up through Everett? Yeah. Nope, not trusting none of this.
You gotta balance how much you eat with how well you want to do in the game.
Yeah, that's kind of what my whole goal was. You're on a bus ride for a long time, and you're just like, you got to balance food. So I had a protein shake, the mac and meat, some apples for some fiber. Yeah. What about you, Kyle? What'd you have?
I just had the mac and meat. I ate the mac and meat. Let it settle for a little bit. Took a good nap, like every car ride.
Yep.
I'm like, don't pull a Gabe and have a protein shake and throw up right before the game.
Yeah. Okay.
On some completely unrelated, those pickles from My Four Sons, those are fantastic. But onto something else. What would you say that Coach Henning's biggest strength as a coach is?
Yeah, I'll go. His biggest strength is the respect factor. Sorry, guess that's in the back of my throat, but he I don't know how to put this. He's just like, if ball, he's gonna trust you and stuff. And I mean, take me for example. I come in, first practice, ready to kick some tail, ready to keep her going. I gained his respect from the first day out. So, I mean, once you have his respect, he trusts you, and that's the one thing. Some coaches are a little restricted. I've played in public school leagues. I've played against rec teams. I've played against select teams. Strict coaches, strict regiment, but with him, he has a regiment, and you can make yourself fit into that regiment, no matter what position you were. And yeah, he would build you around the team and the team around you, in a sense.
So you actually feel like you make a difference with your plays, so you feel like you actually help your team and are contributing to the plays that are happening.
Yeah, definitely. Like as a goalkeeper, nobody watches soccer really in America. Other parts of the world, that may be a false statement, but no, like even for me as a goalkeeper, I make a drop kick. You're like, well, he just made a drop kick. No, now they're down on the opponent's 20 about to score. Like he set up that opportunity. He made every play, no matter what it was, whether it was so minimal, actually, I don't know, successful. Like, I think some of our goals this year, remember, Kyle, when we played Auburn at Venice and we won on penalties? I mean,
I was not there for that.
I mean, yeah, you weren't there. But, giving a recap on that game, we were down 1-2 going into the last couple minutes, and we scored a goal off a throw, and you're just like, well, that's just random. But no, it's set plays for set players, and we got that. And then we eventually got the win in shootouts. So, yeah.
Yeah, as somebody who's played with you, Austin, before, you are definitely a very good goalkeeper.
Yeah, I would say so.
Very loud goalkeeper.
All right. Just because I yell, it's for the betterment of the team.
Oh, I know. You yell at me plenty.
He's also not afraid to charge you.
No,
he has
not.
no fear.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the thing as a goalkeeper. You just got to have no fear. Because, I mean, this is from a coach I had way, way back when I was 9 years old. He said, you're given the opportunity. Like, as a goalkeeper, you can't set up anything. You rely on your defenders to make for the outcomes that you're given. And, it's a service, basically. You get what you're given, and you got to make the best out of it. Sometimes, and the worst thing, it's just mental at that point. Having no fear is one thing, but it's also when you get goals scored on, are you gonna, sit and mope and just talk to yourself for 20 minutes of the game, take yourself out of the game, or keep yourself in there and saying, I got you guys. And I mean, there's been times this season where, again, Auburn, I said, coming into halftime, we were down. I just said, hey guys, listen, I screwed up. Give me an opportunity and I'll give you guys something. And I definitely gave them something. We won penalties. I stopped 3 penalties in a row. That's like high risk gambling, but I like to say I had a good set of cards. I knew the set of cards that I was dealing with. So
yeah, you got to pick yourself up by the bootstraps, acknowledge your faults, and get yourself back going.
Yeah, definitely.
Because a bad mind and a bad mental state will get you nowhere when you're playing soccer, especially on defense.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So anyway, Kyle, what's your position?
I played along with Ephraim on the outside wing back, so we had a 5-back, and we would be running basically the whole field. Halfway through the year, we kind of switched it up a bit, depending on who we were playing, if we played more offensive or more defensive. And then I'd also occasionally play full defense if someone needed to sub out or something like that. But yeah. Also with that, I feel like me and Ephraim really, honestly, as far as skill goes, I say I'm probably not the best guy out there, but I think we tried really hard for what it was this year. We have the younger guys coming in, so they're going to do pretty well, I think. We have Ian and Tristan to cover for that, but I think if Henning gets them set up for that, they'll do pretty well. Ian was doing really well towards the end of the season this year for that outside position. He was getting some runs upfield and corners and stuff like that, so...
It's just you got to warm up to the team and how you guys play, and you learn these people play either really aggressively, really defensively. They try to go for flashy plays or they go for simple mechanics, and you learn your team, and you know your team by the end of the year. So you're playing probably at your best ability.
Yeah, I would say definitely especially in the last couple games, I think we were playing some of our best games. Would you say that, Austin?
Yeah, I think we were playing our best games. It's just because, obviously, it's the end of the season. So many hours of practices and stuff. And for me, it was just the culmination of all my summer work that I did with some of my local guys. It was just. I wouldn't say it was a Cinderella ending of the story, but I knew my book was closing. So, you had to write something, a good thesis statement to that book, You had to write a good ending.
You got to go with a bang.
I had to go out with a bang. I played every game, not just the last couple of games, but every game like it was the end of the season, end of my time, just because, there is an actual end. So yeah. I thought for me it was just best to play every game like my end was tomorrow.
Yeah, play every game like it's your last, because you don't know, am I going to get hurt and not be able to play these last few games?
Yeah, that's happened to me actually before. So I definitely knew that going, just thinking that through. I'm just like, okay, well, I'm playing every game like my last. And they're like, what about sophomore year? And I'm just like, we're not going to talk about that. Things happen. Things happen. Injuries happen. ER visits happen, It is what it is, and you don't throw a fit.
You guys had so many injuries this year compared to previous years.
Yeah.
I think you had 2 or 3 broken legs?
No, it was...
leg injuries around there.
Twisted ankles and stuff like that.
Yeah, twisted ankles.
Paul has his ankle twisted, and Gabe got a bruised foot towards the last 2 games.
Yeah. Not as many concussions though, so we're happy about that.
Without Nathan,
you did your part.
I did, yeah. But I think the whole theme of our team was just, we know injuries are going to come. We're not a big team. We don't got we're not like the only sport in a 1B school. We don't got a football. We have a football team, but all of our big guys are playing football. We're just given the mass the guys have, and you just use it to the best of your abilities. And we knew injuries were going to happen. We play some pretty big, beefy teams, so it's just what's our plan B here? And I think we had a pretty good plan B. Just didn't execute plan B pretty well in the last half of our last game. So,
Well, here's a pretty loaded question. What do you guys think was like the greatest moment collectively as a team?
that's a good question. Kyle, you weren't here for it, but it was the penalties. The greatest moment, we made it. The penalties, it's a tight game. We realized that we won league this year, but I think without that game, it would have been a pretty oh no, what about league? Because leagues are our entry to state, but well, not state this year, but in previous years it was your entrance to state. This year it was. All right, you get a couple home games for by districts. I mean, you can play some team from one of the San Juan Islands or up north or up east, and you don't got to travel up east. You get to travel 20 minutes away, depending on Puyallup traffic. But you got to play there, and I think with that game, we almost lost that game. We were just like that. And when it comes to penalties, you're like, okay, it's gambling. Up, down, left, center, right, whatever you got to do. You got to do, shooter and goalkeeper. And what the thing was is, it goes in the first shots. We miss ours, and they score, and we're like, and this isn't a good spot for us. We're like, okay, I'm like, well, okay, I told myself it's time to commit because I kind of like egged myself out of that first shot. I was like, I kind of, I kind of let the shooter kind of be my enemy there, and I just said, I get it, you're nervous, but just stare at them. Just stare at them. So I stared at them, saved the next one, we scored. Saved the next one, we scored. Saved the next one, we scored. Now the ball's in our game. As long as we score, it's over. We score, and game over. Game one, it's a league win, so it was very, very huge because we played them once. We won 1-0 at their field, which barely. Max rolled it. Yeah. Rolled himself into the net. But we scrapped out again. So, getting not only the non-conference win but the league win kind of set ourselves up, saying, hey, we're ready to push. This is our push to start here, and we started on a really, 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 really hot foot. So.
You guys made sure that you wouldn't be ignored by the other teams. You would actually be seen as a threat to most of the teams.
Yeah. For them, I think the whole goal this year with the league was like, okay, we realized that like Evergreen's got a goalkeeper and stuff, and they're not losing many people. They're like, okay, for the one thing is, beat their offense, beat their midfield, beat their defense. Then you're like, now we got to be the goalie, And their whole goal this year also was just like, okay, we need to find goalkeepers because goalkeepers are people too. And they just, every goalkeeper came out with a little bit more swagger, a little bit more, upness to them, if that's even a word. They came with them. They came more prepared than last year. Still not enough, but they came more prepared. And I was just like, oh, okay. I was taken a little bit aback by it. I'm just like, okay. I guess they're investing into goalkeepers now, so that's a good thing. So, yeah.
In my opinion, goalkeepers are the heart of the team. They're always like the most energetic people that you'll see on the team.
Definitely.
They're always mostly encouraging, helping people with positions.
Yeah. I mean, we got a bird's eye view of the whole stadium. Stand to stand, the goal obviously, but we. I like to think of myself as this team's tactician, even though I don't know how to do that. My whole focus was just with our 5-back system, how if you don't know how a 5-back system works, your last defender basically runs a track meet up and down the field. And, for them, it's just be there. You got to be there, that was my main focus, because if they're not there, there's going to be somebody behind us that scores a goal, or they're not going to be there and we don't score a goal,
Or you have someone else move from their position to cover them, and then
and then it throws everybody off, and then you're just like,
yeah,
it gets messy if that has to happen.
Pretty much.
What would you say was the best moment from one of these games? Like the best play that either an individual made or a few people made?
Well, hands down, Austin getting a 2-touch goal at Concordia, even though I know it wasn't that hard to do, but it was a highlight. I would say some of the best parts is probably like getting across from a corner and having Tyler head the ball into the net and go straight back in.
Those are always really satisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah, mainly like my best moments were just Tyler's goals, free kicks, headers, throws and
He
assists.
carried in the throw-ins this year.
Yeah, he threw it like a javelin, and like a javelin, it stuck its target. You know. So yeah, I mean that was probably my best moment.
Well, you, Kyle, what do you think was your best moment individually?
My best moment individually? Honestly, I have no idea. I can say the worst moments from some other perspectives, probably getting the 2 yellow cards and every handball known to man. But
Knowing you, those happen pretty often.
yeah, I don't understand it, but probably just like I forget what game it was. We were at the Puyallup Field. It was one of those games.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Friday Harbor. It might have been that, or it was another team, but we didn't win it. But I really enjoyed and had a great time running up field with like Callahan and Rudy, and they would pass the ball up and outside, and then I'd cross it over, and we'd get a chance on goal.
Yeah, I think it was that Friday Harper game, but definitely probably one of your greatest moments. You know, from my bird's view.
Well, Kyle mentioned it like a few minutes ago, but what do you think was your greatest moment? You said it was, he said it was like a 2-handed goal or like whatever.
A 2-touch goal.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. Basically, we were up against Concordia for our last game of the season before getting into playoffs, and Coach took me out of goal, and he's like, "Hey, you know, now's your chance to get a goal. Put a cap on your career. You know, put that 1-goal cap on your career and head into playoffs." And I did that. You know, 5 minutes into getting subbed in as a forward, Caden sends the ball over the defense. I kind of juked the defense out, took 2 touches, got past the goalkeeper, and I was just like, you know, sigh of relief, but also just jumping up for joy as well.
Coach gave you a chance, and you take that chance and ran with it.
I did, in a sense.
He scored with it.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I think that is about all the time we have for today. I want to thank you, Kyle, for being here, and you too, Austin, for being here.
You're welcome.
And I want to thank you, listeners, for listening to the Wingspan podcast, and have a wonderful night. Goodbye.
Good night.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Wingspan podcast. We would like to thank our guests Nika Pittenger, Austin Menti, and Kyle Scannell.
This episode was produced by Abel Goldson, Peter Sumby, Jacob Figgery, Kylie Hamann, Ryan Cupworth, and Jagger Sikowski. Please remember that the views of the host and guests aren't necessarily the views of Evergreen Lutheran High School.